Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for ICRP to be holding its fourth symposium here in Paris. I will introduce more thanks as we go through this presentation, but what I'm going to do in the next 20 minutes is hopefully give you an overview of ICRP. And I've called this ICRP at nearly 90 years because we are jolly close to that fairly significant anniversary. Of course, welcome to Paris to everyone. ICRP has tried to take its symposia to different continents, of course, around the world. We have been to North America, Asia, the Middle East, and now here we are in Europe. So it is very much welcome to Paris. I sincerely hope that you will all enjoy the programme and the presentations in the next 3 days. But of course, there is some alternate entertainment if the programme is not sufficiently entertaining. Once again, it is a great pleasure that, in addition, that we are able to offer our symposium in conjunction with ERPW, and I'm going to use the abbreviation because you've heard the full name a lot already. It has not been without a significant organisation, and please don't underestimate that organisation, to actually get this symposium and conference to its final fruition. So a great many thanks to everyone involved. But of course, in particular, a great thanks to IRSN, who are our hosts for this symposium. I would very much like to thank all of our supporters. Again, you have seen their logos, but in particular to our top-level gold and silver supporters. So what about ICRP? Well, ICRP was founded in 1928, initially as the International X-ray and Radium Protection Committee. As I've mentioned, we are now 89 years old and are heading for a fairly significant anniversary. ICRP was renamed the International Commission on Radiological Protection, as you know it today, in 1950. And in case some people are still not aware, we are a registered charity in the UK and have been so for the last 30 years. We are not a government organisation, and we are a non-profit organisation. So the first meeting of ICRP was in Stockholm back in 1928. As you can see, it's a few gentlemen and one very large plant. And we have actually come a long way in those 89 years to where we are today. You can see by the size of the audience that we are now attracting a large number of members, but also large numbers to our symposia. This is ICRP in Seoul 2 years ago, and our membership now, elected members, is now around 80, with over 200 if we include the membership of all our task groups. Just a little about the committees of ICRP. Over the years, there have been several committees with different names. For many, many years, there were only 4 committees of ICRP. But it was seen in the 1990s that there was a need to consider the protection of the environment, and hence Committee 5 was established in 2005 with that very remit. And protection of the environment has, of course, become a very significant issue. Committee 5 has produced several publications, really tracing the development of the protection from an initial framework to information for more practical implementation. What ICRP can see now is that we do not want this to be considered as a separate system of radiological protection. And we are now fully integrating the environment into one system of radiological protection. So from the beginning of a new term, and our terms are 4 years in length, the new term began on the 1st of July this year, ICRP will again operate as 4 committees rather than 5. The expertise from Committee 5 that has been so productive over the last 12 years will now be working within the other committees to take this initiative forward. So this is again just an overview of the committee structure for this term, which is 2017 to 2021. You will see that we have a new chair of Committee 3, and we're very pleased to welcome to the Main Commission Kimberly Applegate from USA. In addition to Kimberly, we have 5 other new members of the Main Commission for this term. This is quite a large turnover, as it represents 50% of the Main Commission. We have 2 members who were formerly members of Committee 1, that's Simon Bouffler from the UK and Dominique Laurier from France. And we have 3 members who were formerly members of Committee 4, Kunwin Cho from Korea, Michiaki Kai from Japan and Senlin Liu from China. I hope you will get to meet them and to talk to them in the next few days. Quite another change for ICRP is the fact that we have appointed a Development and Communications Manager. It has quite a lengthy title, but Kelsey Cloutier, again, who you will see around this meeting, is this person. And his role is to help us develop our charitable contributions and financial resources. We are still running our fundraising campaign. He also manages our internal and external communications of all the ICRP content, and importantly is now in the process of upgrading our website. We should have a new website launching at the beginning of 2018, but also advancing and developing our social media and other social platforms. ICRP did not have a strategic plan until 2011, when we first devised one. We now have our second plan for the period 2016 to 2020, but will be fully expected to actually renew and keep looking at this strategic plan even in the intervening years. What we are aiming to do is it really also reflects part of our fundraising campaign. We wished, of course, to maintain and continue to improve the system of radiological protection. This is what ICRP is all about. But in addition, we realise we need to promote awareness of radiological protection and also broaden access to our recommendations. And part of that, it also involves, of course, increasing our engagement with professionals, policymakers and public, and that's one of the reasons why we're all here today. So what have we done and what are we going to do to try and achieve this? Well, I've already mentioned that we are going to be continuing our integration of protection of the environment into the system of protection. Because we have reverted to 4 committees, which includes the environment, each of these committees has a new mandate accordingly, and you will hear about these during this meeting. Another new addition is that we realise that veterinary medicine and issues of radiological protection is taking on increasing importance. This is not only just practising veterinarians, but it's also veterinary patients. And in the coming term, our ICRP is seeing in which ways we can most effectively address these issues. As part of our increasing engagement, our number of liaison organisations has increased to 23. And what we have also established is a yearly meeting where we discuss what we hope are very topical and specific issues with our liaison organisations. We have every intention of continuing our biennial symposia, and organisation of the next one is already well underway. This year we have also launched ICRpedia. This is our online educational tool where we are endeavouring to present an overview of the system of radiological protection. This is in plainer language, one of the things that is an increasing challenge for radiological protection, but with different stages and levels of description and complexity. And also this is something that we see as a vital tool to actually develop and evolve in years to come. The first 50 years publications of ICRP and the Annals was made freely available in 2015. And I hope that that has been actually quite successful and well received. But we now see a need to actually again promote the awareness and availability of ICRP's publications. And so we have a new initiative to take this forward to having the Annals freely available. And so we have a special or extra initiative which we are launching for our 90th anniversary drive, which is to free the Annals. And when I say free the Annals, it's to make all ICRP publications freely available except the most recent rolling 2 years. And this will be available, of course, online. Now, this isn't without significant financial challenge to ICRP, partly because we depend on royalties from our publications as some of our financial income. So what do we need to be able to do this? Well, if we're going to achieve it in our 90th anniversary year, we need to have pledged €500,000 by the end of 2018. In fact, we've actually got off to quite a good start for this. And I would very much like to thank Fana from UAE, and in particular Daniele Gifrida, who I know is in the audience, and the US DOE, and to Isaf Al-Nabusi, who is also in the audience, for kick-starting this initiative. We have already achieved 20% of our goal, but we need more help. So I'm looking to you in the audience to help support us. This is not for ICRP, this is for the radiological protection community to make sure that our recommendations are freely available. You should all have in your conference bag this memory stick, which does contain for free all of ICRP's publications in now 60 years. So we have added an extra 10 years of publications that are freely available. But in addition, and probably more significantly, we are able to include our last set of general recommendations, publication 103 from 2007. So we are finally making progress. I'd now just like to say a little about the system of radiological protection. You all know that this was our last publication, as just mentioned, was 103 in 2007. And of course, this was based on science, ethical, social values and experience, and goes on to form the basis of safety standards, legislation and programs around the world. So in 2017, it is nearly 20 years since the last major system review commenced, because it took 10 years to actually get to publication 103. The main commission realises that, of course, although we are always have the system under review, that we need to do this in more depth. We did actually initiate the beginning of a further review in May last year. Our initial impressions, of course, are that the system is basically sound, and we are not looking to completely rewrite the system of protection. But there is a need, as has become evident over the last 10 years, for some clarification and explanation. So I don't want you to think we're about to publish some new recommendations, but we are now starting to very seriously, in this term of ICRP, actually look at the system and to head towards another set of recommendations in due course. What will we do? Well, we are going to, of course, continue to review various elements, and I just put a few here. Of course, the exposure situations, categories of exposure. There is still a division of the effects between cancer and heritable diseases and tissue reactions. You will note I am not using deterministic and stochastic effects, as we are trying to move away from those terms. And in addition, the basis of dose limits, especially those for the protection against tissue reactions. 2016, the end of 2016, was significant for ICRP because it was the death of Bo Lindell, a giant figure in the history of radiological protection, but also in the history of ICRP. As you can see, Bo Lindell really held every office and position that ICRP has. He was everything from scientific secretary, committee member, main commission member, chair, vice chair, and up until the time of his death, he was an emeritus member. And of course, ICRP would very much like to establish something in memory of Bo Lindell. So what we have done is establish the Bo Lindell Medal, and as I've said, it's to recognise this giant of radiological protection. This is a medal which ICRP will award to an individual who is making a significant contribution to the promotion of radiological protection. And this is a medal that will be given someone in their early to mid-career. It will not be an end-of-career award. The first award will actually be made in 2018 at our 90th anniversary event, and thereafter, though, will be awarded biennially at this symposium. I keep mentioning our 90th anniversary. This is to be celebrated in Stockholm, in Sweden, where ICRP was in effect born. And we have already had an invitation, for which we are very grateful, from SSM of Sweden to meet there in October in 2018. This will include, of course, the usual ICRP main commission meeting, but in addition we intend to hold a mini symposium, of course looking back a little at the history of ICRP, but again looking and seeing how we can take ICRP and radiological protection forward. The building that you actually see on the right is the restaurant Hasselbacken, which is where ICRP had its very first dinner. And fortunately, even the same room is still there, and we have every intention of having a 90th anniversary dinner in the same premises. So to conclude, where is ICRP now? Well, I'd like to think we have seriously modernised our operations over the last few years. We are still striving to increase collaboration with other organisations, and we are still also continuing to broaden our engagement with society. What we must do, though, is still the core business of ICRP. We will continue to review current science and provide relevant recommendations. And we look to working with everyone in this room and beyond to address challenges facing radiological protection in coming years. People that now know me know that I also like quotations. So I thought, as we're here in France and discussing radiation, it would be very appropriate to have a quotation from Marie Curie, who said, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." We know that radiation is still feared worldwide, and maybe this week we can have time to understand more. Thank you very much.